Time and time again, you've put off what you needed to do and told yourself, I'm lazy. I have no willpower. I'm not one of those successful people. But what if the problem isn't your character? What if, while you're scrolling on your phone in bed, unable to start the work on your desk, or finding it agonizingly hard to take even a single step toward a looming deadline, your brain isn't actually sabotaging you, but simply protecting you? Our brain has a very ancient rule. If there isn't an immediate reward to gain or an immediate danger to escape, you do not expend energy. Therefore, if you are procrastinating on something, it means this. Your brain doesn't view the action you want to take as important enough to justify spending energy on it. The unit of energy is the calorie. Today, calories might seem like they're only about how much the products we buy at the supermarket will make us gain weight. But the reality is vastly different. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, a calorie meant the energy required to chase down prey, to flee from danger, and most importantly, to survive one more night. Back then, our access to energy-yielding food was extremely limited, while the dangerous scenarios we had to protect ourselves from were numerous. Under these conditions, we needed severe energy conservation to survive. If you saw a gazelle in the distance, your brain would get you on your feet. Because the reward was clear, there is meat. There is a chance of survival. Or if the sound of a lion came from behind the bushes, you'd stand up again. Because the threat was clear. Your heart rate spikes, your muscles tense. Your body says, run. But if there's neither prey nor a lion around, then what's the smartest option? To rest and conserve energy. This simple logic is rooted in one of the harshest realities of evolutionary biology. Neuropsychology presents an objective math here. The brain is the most expensive organ in nature. Even though it makes up only 2% of your body weight, it single-handedly consumes 20% of your daily energy, even when you are just sitting there doing nothing. Because of this massive cost, expending mental or physical effort unnecessarily wasn't just inefficient. It was a fatal mistake. Now, let's step out of the African savanna and into the modern era. You have an open computer in front of you. A project you need to write, an exam you need to study for, or a dream you need to take the first step toward. There is a reward here too, yes. Maybe in 3 months, maybe in a year, or maybe never. You tell your brain, work today, and your life will be much better later. Your brain looks back at you and asks, okay, but what is happening right now? No lion, no gazelle, no starvation, just a file name resting on the screen. Final project, and that file means absolutely nothing to your primitive nervous system. You might be able to foresee the future reward mentally, but the older layers of your brain cannot feel it physically. In behavioral psychology, this is called temporal discounting. The further away the reward is, the smaller its perceived value becomes. This is exactly where the system's darkest and most powerful chemical weapon comes into play: dopamine. In recent years, social media has labeled dopamine as a happiness hormone, but this is entirely wrong. Dopamine is the molecule of desire, anticipation, and the chase. It is the fuel of the motor that pushes you toward your goal. Without that fuel, you can't even lift a finger. And your brain only releases this fuel when it sees the possibility of a tangible gain. How did this mechanism work for ancient humans? While wandering the savannah to hunt, catching the scent of meat would trigger dopamine release. This chemical explosion gave your tired muscles the order: get up and follow that scent. Dopamine wasn't produced when you ate the prey. It was produced to support you during the hunt. It wasn't produced when you escaped danger, but so that you could escape danger. Because the moment dopamine is released, your heart rate increases, your focus sharpens, and your brain temporarily numbs the sensation of pain or fatigue. The very thing that creates the primal momentum, giving you the strength to push your limits until you secure that reward or escape, is this exact molecule coursing through your veins. Nowadays, however, this miraculous fuel is triggered by a notification sound from your phone. Even before you see the screen, the mere possibility of social validation or new information sends the exact same chemical signal to your brain. Open the notification and scroll the screen, the prey is right there. When your brain can access its much-needed reward so easily within seconds, it simply doesn't want to expend energy on an abstract, distant goal with an uncertain payoff. Your dopamine levels flatline. The fuel is cut off. Your muscles and mind enter resting mode. That's why sometimes, even when you genuinely want to work, you just can't. You open your to-do list. You look at the first item. You feel a heavy tightness in your chest. because there is no fuel. Then, you simply reach for where the dopamine is, your phone. So, you end up wasting not just your attention, but your mind's most precious fuel on a fake reward. Afterward, a massive wave of guilt washes over you. I am lazy. This guilt doesn't spur you into action. More often than not, it paralyzes you even further. This is why procrastination isn't always about not wanting to do something. Sometimes, it's just your brain viewing the immediate cost of effort as much more real than the future reward. Therefore, why aren't I more disciplined, is an incomplete question. Why doesn't my brain view this task as something worth surviving for, is a much more accurate one. The problem you are facing isn't a character flaw, it's a massive, hundreds of thousands of years old survival system. That's why you are not lacking in willpower. You are simply a primitive mind, standing with a sharp spear in hand, facing off against the abstract expectations and months-long projects of the modern world.